You have probably heard recently in the news about some changes in commission in real estate. I'm Lauren. This is Raul. We are with the Schrader Group, and we are going to help break down what that means to potential sellers and buyers. Recent changes in real estate commissions could impact both home buyers and home sellers. How does it impact home buyers?
So what ended up happening was the offer of compensation is no longer available. So now if I'm representing you and we're gonna go look at a house, I don't know if the seller's gonna pay me, right? Because they're not obligated to pay me. I gotta come to you and say, hey, I need to create an agency which says I'm gonna be working for you. My fees are gonna be X, Y, or Z. And if the seller doesn't compensate me, you gotta compensate me.
So what questions should the home buyers be asking the agent?
Yeah, so I think right now we get back into the facts, right? Let's talk about experience. Let's talk about all these other factors that come into play. Because if we look at an attorney, if I got to go downtown, I'm not just going to take somebody that's been in the business for 12 weeks, right? I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to look at reviews. I'm going to look at all these factors because if I have to write you a check, then I want to make sure you're going to represent me in the best capacities possible, right? Experience matters, and you got to go through the process of interviewing agents, right? There's over 14,000 agents in San Antonio. You got to go through the process and saying, who do I want to represent me, and who do I feel is going to hold my values, what I want, what my wants and needs are to the 10th power.
How do these recent changes impact sellers?
When we would go into a listing, we'd say, hey, the going rate is 6%, 3% goes to the buy side, and we would earn 3% when we do our job. Typically, they would pay us, the broker, and then we would pay the other broker out of our commission. What the settlement states is that the seller has to pay directly to the buyer side, and then they would pay us separately. And in essence, what ends up happening now that we have to establish the buyer side agency, you're represented by a buyer's agent, y'all submit an offer, I get to see how much y'all have agreed to because I only legally have to pay, or my seller legally has to pay what's on that form. Now we're gonna have the opportunity to negotiate that. So for sellers, they got the upper hand, right? They know that they're gonna pay us regardless, but now they have an option to offer up compensation. Now that could be risky as well because with the area of 14,000 agents, do you wanna alienate half the field, or do you want to alienate anybody from not being able to submit an offer because maybe the buyer doesn't have the money to pay it? So it's going to be a little bit differently as we proceed, but the truth is now it's just more of a negotiable contract, right? So I mean, whatever comes through is what we negotiate back and forth. If you want 3, we say we're only going to pay 1.5. Your team, your side has to figure out, hey, we could get 1.5 from the seller, but you might have to get 1.5% from your buyer as well.
What would you say are the most 1, 2, 3 important questions the sellers should be asking their agent?
Yeah. Number one, if they understand what's going on in the area, right? Because that new trend is happening. It's not even a trend, it's a law now. So that new operation's happening. There's no more MLS compensation. So the agent needs to know what's going on because they got to be a fiduciary to you. Number 2, how long have you been in the business, right? Are you a listing agent? Are you a buyer's agent, right? Because there's a lot of things that go into play. And number 3, they got to be full transparency, right? They got to make sure that they know what's going on, communicating to you guys, letting you guys know what's happening. Because if you, by chance, have to pay that fee, you got to make sure that you're getting every dollar that it's worth. So in my opinion, like I said before, experience matters, proof over promise. But make sure that you're represented by someone that knows what's going on, has been in the industry for a long time.
Lots of great information about what's going on in the real estate world with commissions. Please reach out if you have any questions and subscribe to our channel to learn more.
We're here to help you navigate the new changes. Thank you all and have a blessed day.